Let's do our daily quick cap here of ticker symbol FTNT. I'm going to do a quick recap of this trade. So first it came up on the scanners the end of yesterday, which was right here, this massive red candle. And obviously, that take a genius to see. This was a bearish signal. We were expecting this to move down, and it did a little, and we'll get into the breakdown a little bit more in just a second. But it came up on the scanners end of yesterday, and immediately there was the first obvious thing to me was we're bouncing right at that 200 SMA. And if you know anything about the 200 SMA, it's a very popular, widely used SMA where, and I felt really comfortable using that as an area of resistance. Now there's really nothing much going on over here that's relative to the trade. So let's go ahead and zoom in. The only other area that intrigued me was right there at that high, especially since we have such a long wick here. So let's do, quick candlestick analysis of this day. Is that when price moved back, imagine what this candle looked like when it was right here. It was a huge green day, a huge bullish day. And then price completely rejected all in the same day and pulled all the way back down. So with this really long upper wick here, it lets me know that this is an important level. For some reason, at this level right here, the bears stepped in and just really drove price down. And based on that, looking at our signal day right here and seeing that, yes, we did open and push a little higher, but eventually we pulled back below this level, I did feel good since we had the 200 SMA combined with this level. And yes, we are looking at the daily chart. If you don't know anything about Armor Trading Systems yet, then number one, I hope you do. I hope you go visit the website at armortrades.com. But also, almost everything that we do is based off the daily chart. We just to try to keep things as simple as possible and still be successful. That's the whole goal behind it. That's the whole reason why I do it. So we have this was a mountain to valley or mountain to river setup. And I go over that in my Income Genesis course, also found at armortrades.com. But this was a mountain to river setup. We had a really good resistance overhead. So it meets all the criteria to put it on the watch list and for me to potentially go over it in the war room the following morning and trade it. And that's what we did. All we needed to do was for it to get triggered, which it did. Now, the trigger here, we needed to see price break 59.14. However, we had a huge gap down. So what we needed to see in that case was see price come up to 59.14. Now, what ended up happening, and we'll see it more when we get into the 1 minute, is that price opened here. Essentially, I think it might have chopped around a little bit, and then it plunged down all the way to here, and then came all the way back up, looking very strong. However, my thought process behind it was, A, let's stick to the strategy, stick to the game plan. And B, after such a big move up, I was expecting a bounce. And that would be a very good area to bounce at. And it didn't work out exactly like that, as you'll see in the 1 minute. But there was still a chance for profit here. Now, it did trigger, and we'll go over the exit strategies. I always go over 3 different exit strategies. These are not the only ones out there. These you can exit however you want to. This is just me giving you an idea of maybe how you might want to exit these trades. So the first one we'll go over is exiting into previous support or resistance. In this case, it would be support. We want to exit as price is coming down into support. And the closest one, the nearest one, was wrong drawing tool. Let's see. Right in there. Right around that point, which is also right around the open of the day. That was where, now I didn't know the open was going to be there when we talked about this in the war room. But yeah, opened here. When it did trigger, this would have been for me, the first area that I was looking to take profit at. If I were to be exiting this way, I usually don't exit this way, but if I were to, this is how I would. What I do at the moment is this. Well, we'll get into it in just a second. So exiting into right here would be the first area, and then right here at this we can kind of see. Let me go ahead and just draw it in. Oh my goodness. Let me get the right drawing tool again. So we can kind of see here. Look at these opens and closes right at it. Here, again here, and then here, and pretty close to it here, and right there. So the point is that was a pretty important level, and I would have been looking to take more profit there. And all that is continued technical analysis and continued just breaking down the chart and seeing where we would want to exit, where would be the best spot to exit and to take profit. And remember, when it comes to exiting or scaling out into previous support or resistance, I always recommend taking the majority of your position off at the nearest one. That way, you won't turn a losing trade or a winning trade into a losing trade, and you'll make money. So that's just an idea. Maybe take 3/4 off, maybe take 2/3, whatever you like. You don't even have to do it that way. You can take off 1/4 if you want to, or you can take off half. It is completely up to you. This is just to give you a little bit of an idea. Now, I talked about this exit strategy that I use, and right now, what I'm using really exclusively, this is the only way I've been exiting recently, and it is subject to change, but right now, the way I do it is when we trigger and when we open our position, I will hold it until the end of the day. And what that does is it allows me to potentially catch some really big movers, some really big winning trades. But on the flip side is that sometimes it will turn a winning trade into a losing trade, which is really aggravating, but it is the nature of the beast. And it's just what I'm choosing to do right now. Especially because when we catch those runners and those big winners, it way more than makes up for when sometimes a winning trade becomes a losing trade. So on this one, we entered here, and again, when I say, if you haven't seen any of my other videos, is that when I go over all these stocks off the watch list each and every morning, I give my, the reasons why it's on the watch list. I give the technical analysis side of it. I give the entry or the trigger, as we call it, and also give a stop, which allows us to determine a stop loss, which allows us to get our position size. Now, so the point is that the stop loss is predetermined. So we're not going in here blindly, just maxing out our account, taking as many shares as we possibly can. Now, we use an equation that allows us to use the stop and the stop loss to come up with the perfect position size. So if things were to go completely 100% against us, we know exactly what our max loss will be. And that's a pretty awesome feeling. Is already coming to terms with what your max loss will be. What it does is it allows you to be really thankful for the winning trades, but also it when the loser isn't the max loss, it really helps you deal with it. And it's just a really good feeling. So on this one, 59.14 was the entry, and we could see we closed the day at 58.91, so the exit was right around there. Small little winner. It was 20 cents or so. Maybe if you nailed it, 25 cents. Turned out to be, that's a decent trade. It's nothing to be super excited about, but it's all right. It's okay. It's a green trade, and it worked out. Worked out trading it this way, and that's really all there is to it. Is just once we trigger, set your stop, let it ride, and then you can potentially move your stop if you want to, or adjust it as the day goes on, and bring it down or bring it closer. But that's pretty much it. Got about 25 cents out of this trade, and I wasn't like super thrilled about it, but happy for a green trade. Now the other exit strategy is scalping. Let me go ahead and delete these lines so when we get to the 1 minute they won't confuse us. All right, now scalping this trade. I'm going to zoom in. Well, we'll zoom in right here. Really, none of this is relevant through here. I can't remember if I mentioned when it triggered, but it was later in the day. Almost 11, actually. 59.14 was our trigger. Let's go ahead. Draw it in right there. So we triggered right here at 10:41. And from a scalping standpoint, this one really wouldn't have worked out. It went against you by, 70 cents pretty quickly. It didn't work. Not at all. And that happens sometimes. That's why it's so important to have the stop loss set in place, is so that you can manage your losses and manage your risk. It doesn't always happen this way. Sometimes the scalping method works fantastic. Sometimes it works the best. Truthfully, it is the most, as far as winning percentage, nothing wins more than scalping in the system that I teach, Normal Trading Systems. But the winners are smaller, and the losers are the losers are manageable, but the winning trades are smaller than what they would be on some of the other exit strategies that I go over. But it probably wouldn't have worked out on this trade. However, holding it till the end of the day, you can see would have got us a little bit of money. And then going into previous support or resistance, it never happened. So what you do is, it's up to you. You can either choose to turn it into a swing trade or just exit at the end of the day as well. Completely up to you. So that about wraps this one up. Again, I really appreciative to you all. I thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. Thank you again for watching, and God bless.